to see the swastikas? How relevant is it to have this conversation replayed to them when they have to make the decision between life and death?
Well, what we're looking for here, right, let's level set. This is a person who has pleaded guilty. This is a mass murderer who has pled guilty to the offense. And the sole issue here is, does he go to prison for life or does he get the death penalty? So what we're looking for are aggravating or mitigating circumstances. And the fact that it might have been or probably was a hate crime is an aggravating circumstance. And the argument by the prosecution is that this use of swastikas and some of the other evidence that we've seen in these hearings is evidence of that hateful, evil, diabolical intent that this shooter had. And that's why it's relevant. Now, the defense is going to say it's not necessarily relevant. I heard in this clip the swastika may be a symbol of peace, which is something I have never heard before, but maybe that's true. And they're going to say it's not necessarily probative of the aggravating circumstance that the prosecution says it is.
Here's the thing that I'm always struck with, how much it matters in the overall scheme, because the jury's left with this guy murdered 17 people in cold blood. There's no dispute about it now. Whether or not he had a swastika on his gun, whether or not he was looking up child porn on his computer, whether or not he espoused racist ideologies, the fact that he murdered 17 people in and of itself could be them saying he deserves the death penalty.
Well, I suspect that's going to be the prosecutor's argument. I mean, they're going to say, just from the actions, just from what he did, the penalty that is appropriate here. Now, the defense, as I said, has to look for mitigating circumstances. So we've heard a little bit about his background, and there's some psychological evaluations of issues he may have had. The defense is going to try to show that he has some problems, and there should be some sympathy taken on him despite what he did. But Jesse, I totally agree with you. The act here, the crime is so evil and so awful. The murder of children and teachers. It's really hard to get past that.
It is, and you mentioned the defense, so let's go to the cross-examination of Dr. Brannon, and this is where the defense tries to question